Manscape is proudly brought to you by Antler, the champions of lightweight luggage, Donna Faccioni personal training, and the fitness generation.
G'day and welcome to another episode of Manscape, a TV program about all things man, coming to you from the Sandbar Beach Cafe in Middle Park.
That's right, Robbie, and listen up guys, because we've got some great advice that'll keep you on the right track to looking good and feeling great.
And speaking of feeling great, let's kick things off with some useful advice for all our Manscape followers.
Yeah, through the influence of Hollywood, I think Mad Men's been a major factor in terms of returning to classics, which I'm loving at the moment. Really strong partings, and it's enabled us to kind of really utilise something that was so amazing back then into today's fashion.
I think it's something that is definitely growing, and it's because men are becoming more aware of fashion. Where I live, things are a lot more casual, a lot more laid back, not as interesting as Melbourne on some levels, but the boys at home are definitely embracing their hair grooming, their facial grooming, you know, facial hair and different moods for that.
Certainly have. It's not just the domain of male models and bodybuilders anymore, it's average guys getting out there just trying to feel good about themselves and, you know, take it to that next level, whereas it always used to be the women's side. It's now turning into a lot more of a male thing, so yes, we have.
Yeah, through the influence of Hollywood, I think Mad Men's been a major factor in terms of returning to classics, which I'm loving at the moment. Really short sides, the fades back, really strong partings, and it's enabled us to kind of really utilise something that was so amazing back then into today's fashion. I love facial hair and I love the contrast. I love the boy sporting the big beard and the short sides. The parting, and at the same time, even for some guy that's got cropped hair, to have a little bit of growth, I think it gives it a bit more of a worn feeling. Love it.
So the one thing I've probably noticed more importantly with men's manscaping or grooming is the eyebrows. We're seeing a lot of men come in where their wives have maybe helped them out a little with their brows, but they're giving them a feminine shape to their brows. See, I like to keep a man nice and square and full. We use clippers and tweezers and everything, but men's brows need to be coarse and manly. They don't need to be fine and tapered, depending on the type of man you are also. But the one thing I do get a lot of requests for is the removal of nose hair. You know, a small wax stick up the nose, one at a time please. We don't want anybody to choke on the chair. Just to remove those hairs. Nobody really likes hair hanging out their nose.
So the perfect daily regime for boys, I guess, would be a cleanser, a moisturiser, and a product that for hair to get it polished, whether it's doing a strong parting, putting texture into hair, but something definitely not too greasy.
Look, I think with daily men's regimes, absolute must-have is a moisturiser. So even if a man does not wear or use a cleanser, he needs to use that moisture in his face, because even though the skin is a lot more texturised, a lot thicker, you guys, you know, you don't need makeup. Kudos to you, but it's because women's skins are finer and show flaws faster, whereas if a man uses a moisturiser, he just gives that subtlety. I also think a little chapstick goes a long way. Kissy lips, we like a bit of kissy lip.
Well, I think the number one benefit is obviously the health benefits. With the increase of melanoma on the rise at the moment, it's just so important not to be going out in the sun and baking ourselves like we used to. The other thing we find that guys like is it really gives that definition to their muscles and the muscle tone, and what guy kind of wouldn't want that, I suppose. We also find that it just helps generally with their self-confidence. People just like to feel good, have that lovely glow about their skin and their face, like they've just been on holiday. Yeah, I think there's many benefits of spray tanning, and it's becoming more and more popular. Products that have natural botanicals helps maintain the skin for longer without having all the nasty chemicals in there. We also can recommend that people sometimes can use a self-tanning tan builder, which will prolong it and make it more of a depth of colour as well.
As you know yourself, when you're more tan, you feel more confident, so it makes you happy. You don't want to be pale, you want to look good and like summer, so yeah, I like it, I really like it.
Interestingly enough, we were talking about this last night, or a group of girlfriends and I, and we actually thought that the arms were the most attractive part of a man's body. I think it's an eye thing. It's something about a twinkle in their eye, or something about the way they look at you is definitely an attractive feature. Well, it's a bit cliche, but possibly the old sense of humour works well for me.
Now we're talking fitness and maximising your workout in the home, and today we've got the help of our resident personal trainer Donna once again. Now Donna, we're looking at the Indo row today, and I love this machine because of this great ash finish, but tell us a little bit more about it.
So it's like rowing on mortar, so the harder you row, the greater your intensity.
Fantastic. What else?
Okay, so we've got our little screen here too. Now we'll just turn that on. Beautiful. Okay, so as you are actually rowing, you can see you've got your kilometres and it'll go for your distance, also to calorie, time. And another great thing too is that it stores all your data so you can keep track of your progress.
So you can actually change your workout over periods of time based on the data that it stores?
Yeah, definitely, yeah, and compare them to each other without a doubt.
Fantastic.
Okay, and finally, one of my favourites is it's really easy to store. You just basically put it up against the wall and the water stays in there, which is fantastic, yeah.
So you just tip it up and it's ready to go?
And that's it, yeah.
So tell us about some of the benefits of Indo row.
Okay, so basically, Robbie, it uses about 84% of your muscle mass, so it's a good all-over body workout. So it's functional also, it incorporates core strength, good posture, and it uses obviously your legs, so it's a great calorie burn.
Now Donna, what's the best way for me to row effectively?
Okay, so basically keeping your posture, so your back straight, and also to using your arms, not your feet, to actually do the rowing and keep the intensity.
Gotcha. Like this?
Yep, definitely. Fantastic.
Wow, it's getting really hot. And honestly, that's why you need one of these, an extreme cooling towel. Simply wet it and it stays cold for up to 6 hours. Now perfect for the garden or a round of golf. Now typically machines like this you can find at Genesis gyms or at other commercial gyms around the country, but now you can own one in your own home. Visit thefitnessgeneration.com.au to pick up yours. And you can even grab one of these too. Thanks for your time today, Donna.
That's okay.
Now here's your chance to win some fantastic prizes from Manscape. There's a Schwinn AC sports bike, courtesy of the Fitness Generation, featuring adjustable performance handlebars and seat, magnetic resistance brakes and SPD-style cleats to simulate an outdoor riding experience. There's also a $1,000 paintball experience for you and your 9 mates, courtesy of Hot Shots. Each person will receive free entry, playing gear, tactical gloves to keep, plus 400 rounds courtesy of Hot Shots Paintball in Anarchy, Victoria. There's also a set of 3 Drive Light luggage cases courtesy of Antler, the champions of lightweight luggage. If you're looking to get fit, there's also a one-on-one personal training session courtesy of Donna's Fitness Revolution. You'll also win a style consultation in Melbourne from our very own Styled by Sally and a $100 dining voucher courtesy of Sandbar Beach Cafe in Albert Park, Victoria. And to top it off, some best-selling books and CDs from Dr. Elizabeth Chelly and Ben Angel. All you need to do is tell us in 25 words or less why you would like this great prize. Head to manscapetv.com.au to enter.
What's new in the world of travel? Check out these Go Travel products. Now, Keita, nobody likes a wet holiday, right?
No, they don't.
But no more wet, leaky umbrellas in your bag with the dripless umbrella.
And you can keep all your electronics dry with this 100% waterproof bag. And guess what? They're fully operational in the bag.
And let's not forget the dry tablet. I can sit in the rain and send emails and keep my iPad high and dry.
You can grab all of these at any leading department store or log on to the website.
Men's health issues with Elizabeth Chelly. G'day, Elizabeth.
G'day, Adam.
Now, for a bloke of my advanced years, we're talking midlife crisis.
Okay.
Crises today.
Okay.
But is a crisis actually a crisis, or is it an opportunity?
It's actually an opportunity. It doesn't always have to be a bad thing. You know, unfortunately, it's been labelled this midlife crisis because for men in particular, when they're going through what I would call more of a review, which is a good thing to do in your life, men might act it out in very obvious behavioural ways, like buy this car, buy that car, do an extravagant trip, or in some unfortunate instances have an affair as they're trying to figure themselves out. And so a midlife review or a life review doesn't have to turn into a crisis, and it's certainly not a bad thing. In fact, it would be a problem if people didn't do a life review and take stock, you know, really take stock on where they've been, what they're doing and where they want to go.
Does it necessarily happen at a particular time in life, or because you could review pretty much at any time, I would imagine?
Yeah, it seems to become more obvious in those later years of life, so to speak. But again, you've got to remember, these are about adults that are autonomous, they're independent, they have control over their own lives so that they can go out and make their own decisions and do stuff. Whereas a teenager doesn't necessarily have that kind of ability, but they still have a life review. So often with people in their late 20s or early 30s, I tend to call it an early life crisis, where you're just stepping back and going, whoa, what's my life about? What am I doing right now? And where do I want to go from here on out? And that's a very healthy thing to do. So it's a problem when I've seen people don't do that for themselves and they try and resist it or avoid it, and eventually life's going to catch up with them and say, hey, look at me. I just need you to take stock and review so we can move forward with new energy.
If you do find yourself on the end of a midlife crisis, how do you then pick up the pieces and start again, for instance?
Well, you start one day at a time and you take stock with where am I at right now, where do I want to be, and then start looking at one or two steps leading you forward into that. So a lot of men in particular often ask the question, what next? You know, what's all this about? Why am I doing this? What's my purpose? And that's okay to ask those questions. So if you give yourself a little time, whether it be with trusted people or you actually take yourself away for a break for a weekend or for a day or even for a couple of hours, write it all down. Just get it out of your head, jot down some of the initial answers that come to you and take stock of where you're at right now, and then go, okay, where am I dissatisfied? Where am I not feeling fulfilled? And where would I prefer to be? So when you give yourself an A of where I am now and a B of where you'd like to be, it makes the roadmap a lot easier. So when you think about it, we're going to drive somewhere, we want to get to point B, we're going to put in our GPS the destination, but that GPS also needs to know where we're starting from, otherwise how are we going to get there? And it's the same thing when you're doing a midlife review, so then you can prevent the crisis part of it and get the benefits out of a review and live a more fulfilled life.
Fantastic. So a crisis isn't necessarily a crisis, it's more an opportunity?
It's an opportunity, and a great opportunity to review where you're at in life. It's a human thing, make the most of it. It's very fulfilling.
Fantastic, great advice as usual, and I look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Thanks a lot, Adam. I look forward to it too.
Yet another useful Manscaped fashion tip with our fashion stylist, Sally McKinnon of Style by Sally. Sally, what have we got today?
Well, today, Robbie, I'm going to share my 5 basic wardrobe essentials for every man's wardrobe. Starting at the top, every man should have a great black fitted t-shirt. Also, a really nice crisp white collared shirt, a great jacket, such as what you're wearing today, preferably in a colour other than black. Every man should have a classic pair of slim to straight leg dark denim jeans, just like you're wearing. And finally, a really nice pair of chocolate brown, chestnut brown leather shoes. That can be a lace up, it can be a boot, but either way, it's going to give you lots of versatile options in your wardrobe.
And guaranteed to look great. Thanks again, Sally.
Well guys, let's face it, we would all like to turn back the hands of time now and then, especially when it comes to hair loss. Well, I've got Helen with me from Ultra Hair. G'day, Helen.
Hi Adam, how are you?
I'm very well. Now, last week we talked about maintaining the hair that you have.
Yes.
This week we're talking about non-surgical hair replacement. Tell me, what does that involve?
There are many different types of techniques and methods of non-surgical hair replacement. The most popular and undetectable is using a very skin-thin membrane, along which also we could call a second skin, which has colour-matched human hair injected into its base, which we then, or stylists will then bond the membrane onto the balding area of the scalp with a medical grade gel. Once that is completed, the hair is then cut in and styled and integrated with the client's own hair. And end result will then be a full head of hair, the result of whatever client desires, whether it's a centimetre long or 20 inches in length.
Wow. And is it detectable at all? I mean, can you tell that someone's had this treatment?
Very undetectable. And depending, once again, on what their end result, what they would like to achieve as an end result, some clients like to wear a fringe, some would like to have a slick back look. Depending on what the client's desires would be is what we will cater for and the type of hair that we'll also choose for them.
Okay. All right, so once the treatment's been performed,
yes,
what is the maintenance routine you need to
The maintenance routine is we then become the client's hairdressers. As they would then go to their normal hairdressers on a monthly basis, they will then be coming to visit us instead. They will then have a service with their hair, their second skin, which will then cut, cleanse and colour their own hair depending on what services they require for that period of time. The costs of these services are very much on par with what they would be paying if they were to go to their own salons or a barber for a cut or a colour, whatever the case may be.
So whatever the normal cost of going to your hairdresser is, that's what the cost is going to be of maintaining.
And time frames also.
Okay. What sort of effect have you seen on a client having this treatment?
They get their life back.
Wow.
Their confidence in life, a smile on their face.
And feeling good about yourself.
Fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Fantastic.
Awesome. Well, if that's something that you would like to investigate, guys, please do get in touch with Helen here at Ultra Hair. Thank you very much, Helen.
Thank you, Adam.
Next up on Manscape, we visit the wonderful world of paintball, and it's all about the annual Tour of Duty event held at Hot Shots, which sees paintballers come from all across the country to compete in an event that's non-stop and full of action.
Australia's peak bushball and big game event is hosted by Hot Shots at its Anarchy venue in Victoria. The series is known as Tour of Duty Tipman Challenge and is sponsored by two of America's biggest names in paintball, Tipman Sports and GI Sports.
At Hot Shots, we are proud to host the Tipman Challenge and the Tour of Duty events. It's a fantastic atmosphere. We have players that come from all parts of Australia, fly in, and they're here for a weekend event of some awesome bushball fun.
The Hot Shots individual playing fields are all combined to make one massive 50-acre paintball battlefield. This annual event attracts paintball enthusiasts from all parts of Australia.
We have up to 200 players here that divide into two teams, so it's 100 people per side.
Each squad maintains radio communication with their squad leader as they battle to complete their assigned mission, which includes setting demolition charges and blowing up bridges and other targets using Hollywood special effects and occupying high-value targets.
So real tanks are in the game. We have gunners on top of the tanks. We have anti-tank guns to knock out those tanks. We have explosions going off, smoke effects, sound effects.
Tour of Duty is a full day of action and has been described by players as entering a living computer game.
Basically, we have a weekend event. However, the main event is on one single day. All the people that arrive form squads, and that squad is given missions throughout the day. And that squad has to go out and complete that mission as part of the event.
I was here for the last Tour of Duty event, and look, it was huge. Talking to 150 people on this massive space of land, battling from one end to the other. You've got the trenches going, you've got people in forts shooting down at people on the ground, there's tanks rolling through the middle, things are blowing up. Look, just a great event. All I can say is, anyone get into it because it's a lot of fun.
Tour of Duty, first one, awesome day, fantastic game, fantastic field, opened the whole thing up, everybody working in their individual squads within both sides. It was awesome day.
Yeah, it was good to see a lot of people come out for the sport itself and actually have a really, really good day. It's probably the best day I've had out ever.
Tour of Duty is an annual event held on the first weekend of September every year. So to take part in Australia's most awesome paintball scenario event, contact your local playing field or Hot Shots Paintball to see how you can take part in this awesome event.
Guys, hearing loss is a fact of life. Now, if you hear yourself saying, what? A lot? You might want to have a chat to Mo Dadafaran. He's the Principal Audiologist here at Ear and Hearing Australia. G'day, Mo.
Hello.
Now tell me, what are the symptoms of hearing loss?
Hearing loss happens very gradually. That's why it's very difficult to notice it at first. You may start turning the TV up loud, or you may find it difficult to follow the conversation in group situations and noisy situations. Or you may find it difficult to understand the speech over the phone.
So how many people experience hearing loss?
Hearing loss is a very common issue. About 2/3 of Australian adults have some degree of hearing loss. This is about 3.5 million Australian adults. But unfortunately, many of these people don't realize that they have a hearing loss, or they just simply ignore it.
But that's a lot of people. So why don't people do something about it?
First of all, because they don't even know they have a hearing loss. They don't recognize that they have a problem. Or if they do, they don't want to seek advice because of the stigma attached to the hearing loss. People don't want to admit that they're getting older. That's part of aging process, and people sometimes see that as a weakness, and that's why they want to ignore it. Psychologically, they don't want to admit they have a hearing loss, or if they do, they just use coping strategies. They just try to get by.
Okay, well, none of us like to admit that we're getting any older, but if you do have the problem, you come here to Ear and Hearing Australia. How can you help somebody with hearing loss?
We can give you a diagnostic audiological assessment and give you some advice on how to manage your hearing loss. We start this by asking you some questions about your hearing and your health in general. Then we look in your ears with an otoscope to see if there is any wax blockage or other physical obstructions. We may even do video otoscopy to have a closer look at your ear canals and your eardrums. In fact, we are looking for any signs of outer ear or middle ear issues. Next, we do a middle ear test to see how your eardrums are moving and if there is any negative pressure or fluid behind your eardrums. This is followed by a hearing test, which is normally done in a soundproof room. This involves you listening to some beeps at different levels. In fact, we are measuring the softest sounds you can hear at different frequencies. Then we check your speech discrimination. We test your ability to understand and repeat the words presented at different levels with and without the presence of background noise. Once that's over, we explain what hearing levels you have and if you require any medical or surgical treatments, or whether or not you can benefit from hearing aids. If hearing aids can help you overcome your hearing difficulties, then we show you how cosmetically appealing they are these days. And we work with you to determine which style, which model, and what level of technology suit you the best. As an independent provider, we give you unbiased advice and offer you the most appropriate options from different major manufacturers.
So guys, don't put it off. If you are experiencing any sort of hearing loss, make a time to come and visit Mo, Principal Audiologist here at Ear and Hearing Australia. Thank you very much, Mo.
Thank you.
Well, that's it for another great episode of Manscape.
Yes, Kita, and plenty more still to come in our first series. But if you can't wait for next week's show, jump on our Facebook page or check out our website at manscapetv.com.au.
And we'll see you next week right here from the Sandbar in Middle Park.